Fam, what is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Where my fam at? I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know where you're coming from inside the comment box. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Wherever you're coming from, inside the comment box, let me know. I appreciate you guys being here. Go out and vote. And let's get this show going. Today, what we are talking about, all right? Today, what we are talking about right here on Bama Football on YouTube is the fact that, look, tonight is the first college football playoff release, all right? And when you look to the college football playoff release, I want to get your take. I want to get your take if Alabama is going to be in the playoffs, at least the first release. And I get it. It's all rat poison, right? Because when you look at where things stand, clearly we know that what Alabama has to do is they have to win out. I appreciate you guys. I can't even see you guys if you guys are inside the comment box today. It's kind of weird. But I appreciate you guys being here right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So today on the show, what we're going to talk about, and I'll put up my topics in just a second. Give me 1 second. Are you guys here? Where you guys at? How come I can't see you guys? Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Where you guys at? 1 second. We might be out to a little bumpy start. I don't know where you guys are at. All right. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me? Talk to me. You guys good? All right. Give me a thumbs up inside the comment box. I think we got off to a little bit of a bumpy start. You guys good? Can you guys hear me? You guys see me? Am I coming clear to you guys? All right. Looks like we're good to go. Thumbs up. Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right. Robbie Oots is in Japan. That's what's up. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Welcome to the show. I think we got off to a little bit of a bumpy start. I look, the internet is undefeated. We go through it. All right. So let's start off the show right. Welcome to the show, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Today is Tuesday. Today is LSU week as we continue to march towards this pivotal game in the SEC. Today on the show, we're talking Bama basketball as they rolled in their season opener. We're going to talk about Caleb Cunningham potentially being on Flip Watch. That was news posted yesterday by Steve Whitfong, one of the best in the business that covers recruiting for On3. We're going to look at the wide receiver depth right now at the University of Alabama as Cole Adams is out for the season. That's according to Coach Kalen DeBoer. That was yesterday. We're going to preview the college football rankings. All right, I want some feedback regarding Alabama and where you think that the Crimson Tide is going to end up in the rankings tonight. Now, look, it's rat poison. This doesn't even matter where they are. And if you ask Coach Saban about these rankings and you wanted to preview, like, hey, Coach Saban, what do you think about the college football rankings? You know what he would say? He would say that he didn't even know that the rankings were being released today because he is so laser focused into this coming week that he wouldn't even know. And plus, it doesn't even matter, to be honest, where they fall because we already know the secret recipe to getting into the playoffs is you have to win the games that are in front of you, right? So you got to have that right psychological disposition to be able to focus, lock in, and do your job, which is to beat LSU. And I was just listening to Coach Saban yesterday, and kind of one of his old press conferences, he's like, if you want to be good, if you want to be great, then you don't have a lot of choices because it takes what it takes, right? So you got to win the games. Appreciate you guys being here. 54 of you, hit the thumbs up. We got 200 thumbs up today is our goal. I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to talk a little bit about this Alabama-LSU matchup. And as I said, the goal for the show today is 200 thumbs up, all right? Who watched the Alabama basketball game yesterday, all right? Who watched the Alabama basketball game? For those of you that watched this Alabama basketball team, yo, I mean, this team, how good that this basketball team is, I mean, yo, they are so talented. All right, so last night, when you're looking at Alabama basketball, who watched this? Give me a thumbs up if you watched this Alabama basketball game. Now, it was 8 p.m. Look, I go to bed a little bit earlier. I'm not going to lie. But I did watch the basketball game. I wanted to see this basketball team, how they got off to the start in the season. And they were every single thing that I thought they would be and a little bit more, to be honest. So Alabama basketball rolls in its home opener. The Crimson Tide defeats UNC Asheville by a score of 110-54. Mark Sears has 20 points in just 24 minutes. A couple things for me when I was watching this basketball team. I was curious. I wasn't really worried about the lineup, and I know, like, in my opinion, it even looked like Grant Nelson was a little bit rusty or a little bit banged up, right? It didn't seem like he was like 100%. But my takeaways from Alabama basketball is, like, my goodness, like, they are so loaded, and the depth of this team is absolutely, I mean, the combination of lineups that you can go 3 guards, you can go 3 bigs. It doesn't matter. I mean, you have Mark Sears, and he's going to do what he wants. But the thing about this basketball team is you have some elite guards that are definitely on the rise. LeBaron Philon, yo, that kid as a freshman, you have Ryan Williams on the football team, and then you have Philon on the basketball team. This guy is elite, 100%. And what he displayed last night, I don't even think is like the tip of the iceberg, right? Christopher, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Yeah, it seemed like Grant Nelson just wasn't there. I'm not even worried about that. I think, like, once he finds his rhythm, he'll come to, and I think he's on limited minutes anyways. When you look to the box score, I went ahead. I had a video go out this morning that I was talking about Alabama basketball. What's up, Angel? I see you coming to us from Pigeon Forge. Yeah, Sherelle, man, is an absolute monster. You look at the guys who can come off the bench. The guys who come off the bench, man, 6'10", right? You got some big dudes coming off. All right, so I circled a couple of things that stood out to me from Alabama's win last night. So you had Mark Sears, who had 20 points, right, in just 24 minutes of play. 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point land, and 5 of 6 at the free throw line, right? Philon, the freshman, 10 points in 24 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field. But I want to talk about Clifford Amore, right? The big man, 16 points, 6 of 6 from the field, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe, 8 rebounds in 19 minutes. I think we can all agree last year, we've talked about this, Alabama didn't have a dominant man inside the paint. They didn't. Pringle, he's not like a true big. And Grant Nelson, while he is 6'11", he is not a guy that is going to dominate in the paint on the offensive side. And he's not, there was times he had a little bit of a defensive performance, but he's not a rim protector. Clifford Amore is that guy. What is he, 260 pounds? And he is that part. Like, he dominates the interior of that paint. In fact, Alabama, they didn't shoot an overwhelming amount of threes last night. They were productive, actually. They were 44%, 8 of 18 from three-point land. But this team has the ability to move the ball inside to get points in the paint. Right? Jaren Stevenson, he's that guy. Darren Reed, I was impressed with him. Alabama had 7 guys in double figures. And this is going to be common, is this team scoring over 100 points. I think last year they broke a record that was set by North Carolina for the team that scored the most times over 100. This team will break that. This is going to be common. They were favored by 22 in this game. And you see what they posted up. They play fast, and you know what? Look, so many times I think in basketball, you start to talk about, like, the offensive side of the ball and the offensive production because this team can score. But the great thing about this basketball team, too, is they can play transition defense, all right? So this team can get back, and Clifford Amore could run. He could get back on defense. All of the bigs, I ain't see no big, slow guys on Alabama's team. That doesn't really exist. And you know who's really good? This Mo Diabate. Yo, if you screenshot this, look at this. He only played 16 minutes. He's there at the bottom. Mo Diabate. He had 11 points. 5 of 9 from the field. He even hit a three-pointer. Man. Yo, this team is absolutely, like, they are really, really talented. But it's all rat poison. Look, it's one game against UNC Asheville. Can you do it on the road against Purdue? Look at this schedule. Look at this schedule. You got Arkansas State, right, coming up on Friday. McNeese, okay, you get those warm-up games in. Yo, Big Mo is a monster, man. He's so good. But then look at this schedule on November 15th. This is, you heard of March Madness, of course. This is November Madness. I'm serious. November Madness coming up starting November 15th with the trip to West Lafayette to take on Purdue. Purdue beat Alabama last year. I know Purdue's probably not the same team that they were, but still. You have Illinois. Teams from the Big Ten can play. Teams from the ACC can play. Houston, great basketball team. Rutgers, North Carolina. Look at this. Going to Purdue and going to North Carolina in the early part of the season? Yo, Nate. Creighton, North Dakota, Kent State, South Dakota State, and then Oklahoma to start off the new year. Woo. Yo, that's a hell of a schedule. That's a hell of a conference schedule. These teams can play with all those teams. Jay Bank's going to be in Chapel Hill. That's what's up, man. Yeah. It is LSU week. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Got to talk about the number 2 basketball team in the country, probably the number 1. All right. Switching gears here. Yesterday, Steve Wiltfong, who's I would imagine he's the best in the business when it comes to recruiting. So he had an article yesterday. I encourage everyone to go check it out on On3, talking about a little bit of some movement potentially with Caleb Cunningham. Now, I want to preview this by saying I'm not surprised to see a player like Cunningham still being recruited by Ole Miss, right? They're the big dog in Mississippi. He's the number 1 player in Mississippi. They're going to recruit him until he signs his letter of intent on December 4th. Right? It's going to go down to the wire. NIL, playing time, schematics, how the teams fare. Max Tooney's Mississippi kids, never count out them until the sign. Exactly. All these guys. And plus, he's a 5-star. All right. So let's look at a couple different things. All right. So the article sparked clearly a lot of interest because, look, every single 5-star is a must get. This guy is, woo. Man, if you've seen his highlight tapes, I'm serious. This guy, man, speed, power, really good catch radius. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. Out of all the players who are coming back at the wide receiver position, all of them are coming back. I'm going to show a graphic in just a second. Yo, I think Cunningham will play next year. That's how talented this young man is. He's that good. So 5-star wide receiver out of Mississippi. He's a must get, right? Like him, Keelan Russell, getting those two together. Yo, that would be a hell of a combo. And that would be a great foundation for Coach Kalen DeBoer, right? Now, Ole Miss, as I mentioned, still very much in play. The article talks about Cunningham, what he likes about Ole Miss. A lot of it has to do with the schematics of the offense, which I understand. If you look to Ole Miss's offense, I mean, who hasn't liked, if you're a recruit, and if you play on the offensive side of the ball, who's not interested in Lane Kiffin? We are interested in Lane Kiffin because of what he does with the offense. Okay? Is Lane Kiffin a better offensive coordinator than what Alabama has currently? I would say so. I mean, who's above Lane Kiffin in terms of offensive play calling schematics? Maybe Steve Sarkisian, maybe. So I'm not surprised to see this. There's a quote that says they're trying really hard to flip me. Go check out the article yourself. There's some really good stuff in there. But if I'm trying to keep Cunningham, this is what I'm selling if I'm the coach, right? And this is what I'm selling if I'm Courtney Morgan. There's a couple things that I didn't list on here, but look at what they've been able to do in terms of okay, NIL, I think you can take care of that, right? Now, Ole Miss, you saw what they did in the transfer portal. They got bags, right? They do. But look what they did in terms of brand awareness for Ryan Williams. I mean, there's no bigger wide receiver right now, probably in college football, than Ryan Williams. And the guy just got here. Okay? Brand, right? NIL. And honestly, I think you tell him, look, you're going to play. You're going to play as a freshman here at the University of Alabama. And you look to the quarterback that's coming in, Keelan Russell, I think that as a tandem, that's what you sell him on. But it'll be something to keep track of as we go forward. And this is Caleb Cunningham, the 5-star wide receiver out of the state of Mississippi. So right now, Alabama has the number 1 and number 2 players in the state of Mississippi. You have Caleb Cunningham and you have A.K. Deer, right? Robert, what's up, man? I love the avatar. Have you been tracking the storm that's supposed to hit on game day? Yeah, you know what? I didn't have time to put North Alabama Storm Chase, the graphic in. Maybe I could get it up here at the back end of the show. It looks like it's going to be raining for the fourth quarter, and it looks like it's going to be raining for the tailgate, but it looks like for 3 quarters it'll be in the 70s. Is it going to be wet? Who does that bode well for? Well, I mean, like I've been saying, probably Alabama. I would imagine, like, when I go to the keys of the game, probably start looking at them tomorrow. You got to run the football. Running the football is going to dictate this continued success for Alabama moving forward. I'm gonna stay on that forever. Here's a look at the Alabama wide receiver room right now. Now, there's a couple guys that aren't listed. Jared Hamilton's not listed. Amari Jefferson is not listed. Jalen Hell is not listed. But here are the guys that have seen playing time this year. Now, the 3 guys that I mentioned that are not on this graphic, Amari Jefferson, he could come back. I mean, he just got here, right? Jalen Hell, he was injured. He's coming back. Jaron Hamilton, a very talented wide receiver that we don't talk about, clearly he could come back. So can Cole Adams, who is now out for the season, according to Coach Kalen DeBoer, with a lower body injury. I think that meant leg. Rico Scott, he just got here. He's a freshman. Caleb Odom, he just got here. He's a freshman. Emmanuel Henderson, he's a junior. It's crazy to think, like, you look at the targets, right, and you're like, man, we already played 8 games, and these are the targets that the guys have seen. So clearly guys are going to transfer out. I'm not going to be here and be like, no, all these guys are going to come in. All these guys are going to come back. They could all come back. Will they? No. If guys are going to transfer, I would 1,000,000% believe it's going to be from the wide receiver position. I mean, you shouldn't be shocked to know that either. It's part of the game. There'll be a player probably from every single position that leaves. But that means other players will come in, or you'll get recruits that can step up, and, you know, it'll hurt when these guys leave, but they've been doing a really good job of filling in with players that can play immediately and make you forget about those other players that left. This is still Alabama, right? Kendrick Law, I mean, he's only a junior. And I show this because I think when you think about some of these players that we've been knowing for a while, you're like, oh, they're seniors or whatever. No. I think there's only 2 players on Alabama's entire offense that, based on their year of eligibility, that they have to leave. I think Robbie Oots, C.J. Dupree. I mean, and I would imagine Tyler Booker, you know, he goes to the NFL. But other than that, everybody else can return. Jam Miller can return. Justice Haynes can return. Jalen Milroe can return. Yeah, I mean, they can. Will they? Probably not, but they can. So that's kind of what I'm selling Caleb Cunningham as well, as I'm showing him this room. And when you get to the back end, you'll understand which players are leaving. I mean, I think we probably already know a couple. All right. The title of this video was and there should be a poll inside the comment box. All right, so 92% of everybody thinks that Alabama is going to be in the playoffs. For the sake of this video, can you answer the highlighted question? Will Bama be in the top 12 tonight? So I know you already voted in the poll, but type Y if you think so, and you could type it as many times as possible, or type N for no. It should all be Y. So what happens tonight at 6 p.m. is the college football playoff predictions will be released for the first time this year. First time this season, so no longer will we go to like the AP and the coaches poll. We probably still talk about them a little bit. But the college football playoffs every single Tuesday night is what we are going to be going off of. on the right is a chart from ESPN's playoff prediction machine where it gives us detail on the percentages it has for Alabama to win those games. They have a 70% chance to beat LSU, which I think is still pretty. I feel confident about beating LSU. More and more I get there, but I mean, I don't know if I feel 70%. I think I feel maybe like 60%. Maybe like 65. Feel really confident about that game against Oklahoma, so much so that it's become like rat poison, right? And then against Auburn, I mean, look, I know 90% Auburn's. The problem is that game scares me any year. It's not like Vanderbilt just absolutely beat the brakes off Auburn. It's not like Auburn's getting beat 40-0 every single game. These guys, their Super Bowl is to beat Alabama. That's it. That's what Hugh Freeze has these guys playing for. Hugh Freeze, I mean, he's not doing much better than the last coach that they hired before him. But if he beats Alabama, right, saves his job again. So just, you can't, we all know that. So let me show you this before we get into a couple different graphics about the playoff preview. So here's the AP Top 25. I don't think this will have much to do with the college football playoff rankings other than, I mean, Oregon clearly will be the number one. I would imagine Georgia at 2, Miami at 3. Maybe they put Miami at 2. I mean, they are undefeated. Georgia lost to Alabama, but who knows what they'll do. And then 4, it's got to be BYU at that 9 spot. Because the top 4, the big conferences, get a bye in the playoffs. That's how it works this year. Here's my playoff rankings, but before I get to that, let me go to this real quick, okay? Let's run through this real fast one more time, and then I want to show you another graphic because I'm leading to something. And what I'm leaning to and what I'm leading to is the strength of schedule, okay? We already ranked all these schedules yesterday on my show. And I think we determined out of Miami, BYU, Indiana, and Army, all those teams that are undefeated, I think we determined that BYU had the most challenging schedule out of these undefeated teams. Like Miami's schedule, not it. Indiana's schedule, not it. And Army, I mean, come on. Like that's not a difficult schedule at all. And plus, they'll probably lose to Notre Dame, I would imagine, here on the 23rd. In Indiana, they have a game with Ohio State. I think somebody was taking Indiana to beat Ohio State, but those are the schedules, right? Yeah, but who would you put, KTK, at that number 4 spot? So my point is all these schedules are soft, super, super soft. So then I was thinking, and I hope this comes into play, is strength of schedule for the SEC. And right now I have 4 teams in my playoff, right? So look at this. What I did was just to give you a snapshot. And maybe you had memory burns so you could look at those last schedules. But look at the schedules right here for Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and Bama. All right. We'll go through them real quick. And there's one thing that I'll really compare on. It's the number of top 25 teams that 2, 5, 7, and 11 have played this year compared to the last 4 that I just showed. All right. So check this out. Georgia, they play Clemson. Right. And so on these rankings, they go, this is from ESPN. They have the teams ranked when they played them. Right. So, for example, Georgia, when they played Clemson, Clemson was number 14. Right. Clemson, top 25 team, lost to Bama when Bama was number 4. Right. Beat Texas when Texas was number 1. They play Ole Miss, Tennessee. Each of those teams are ranked within the top 20. Right. That's a challenging schedule. And you don't miss out on this. They went to Austin, they went to Tuscaloosa, and they go to Oxford as well. That is a very challenging schedule. Texas, not as challenging, but they did go to Michigan when Michigan was, ranked 10. They beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma has now been exposed. They lost to Georgia at home. They beat Vanderbilt when they were in the top 25, right? And look at the remaining schedule. Florida, at Arkansas, Kentucky, and then on the road against Texas A&M. Pretty good schedule. I think it's the least challenging out of these 4 teams, to be honest. Tennessee, that NC State, who was ranked, Oklahoma, Bama, Georgia, Vanderbilt. Actually, I don't know. Maybe Texas' schedule is more challenging than Tennessee, but Tennessee beat Alabama, so. And here's Bama, right? I mean, if you throw in Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt was not ranked at that point in time. That's 4 ranked teams. So what I'm talking about is the strength of schedule. The teams in the SEC, these 4 at least, have all played at minimum 4 top 25 teams on their schedule. Georgia's played 5, Texas played 5, Tennessee's played 5, Bama's played 5. Okay? These teams on this side, Miami, BYU, Indiana, where are the top 25 teams from Miami? Where are they? It's not one. BYU, 1. Indiana, where? 1 coming up against Ohio State. Army, 1 coming up against Notre Dame. You see what I'm saying? So I really hope they take into account the strength of schedule. I played around with this recently. I showed you guys this. This is a preview. I got this from the ESPN Playoff Predictor. I encourage you to go do it as well. The teams in the red are the teams from the SEC. So when I punched in the criteria for Alabama, finishing out 10-2, actually it came out with this. Let me see. Because when I was looking at the data, this is what ESPN came out with when I punched in that Alabama would finish out 10-2 on the season. It said they had a 97% chance to make the playoffs and a 60% chance to host a first-round game. And what ESPN came up with on this playoff predictor, and there's so many different scenarios that it comes up with, it has Alabama hosting undefeated Indiana if the playoffs were like this weekend. It put Georgia at the number 5, Tennessee at the 12, so that would be a SEC rematch. It put Penn State as 7 hosting Washington State, which I felt was weird. And then it had Notre Dame taking on Boise State. And then your top 4 teams were Miami, BYU, Texas, and Oregon. And in this scenario, it had Texas winning the entire thing. I think I think what I did was I put together my rankings. I guess this is what I came up with the other day. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I look at it as if the playoffs started today. So I go Oregon, number 1, number 2, Georgia, number 3, Miami, number 4, BYU. I mean, you could put, I guess it doesn't matter, but you could put BYU as a number 3 team just because they played a tougher schedule than Miami. But I think, is there anyone on here that thinks BYU would beat Miami? I don't. I think Miami would probably beat BYU. The quarterback's too good. Lynn, I agree with that. I could see Bama at the number 8 spot for sure, 100%. If they go 10-2 with the win over Georgia, $1 million. Yeah, I feel real good about that. I put the playoffs. This is how I have it as of today. Okay. Number 5, Ohio State. Number 12, Boise. Boise beat UNLV. Number 8, I have Tennessee because they beat Bama. And then I'd have that number 9 as the SEC number 4, which I would have as Alabama. 6, Texas. 11, Penn State. I mean, Penn State, who've they beat? And then Notre Dame and Indiana. I think what's going to be interesting is what's going to happen when Indiana and Penn State have one loss, right? And they didn't play each other this season. I don't know. Let me ask. Okay, so it looks like there's some talk about Miami versus BYU. Who would win right now, Miami or BYU? Type B for BYU, type M for Miami. I think I'm gonna type M for Miami. What's up, Chris? I appreciate you coming to us, man. Thanks for watching. See, I mean, BYU would probably start winning, and then Cam Ward would lead this team to some sort of crazy comeback victory. It's an interesting debate, though. I'd love to see the two teams play. I'm not going to lie. Jay Bake's going with the officials. I don't know what they're going to do with Penn State and Indiana with one loss each. I have no idea. Lance is saying Miami has a better when SMU is ranked. Yeah, no, I think when we look to that graphic, what do we have? I think we show Miami's. Here it is. So Miami, they look here it is. Miami and BYU, they're right next to each other. I mean, what's Miami's best win? I put Louisville. BYU's best win, I guess, is what? Kansas State and SMU and Oklahoma State. I think those wins are more impressive, to be honest, than coming back to beat Virginia Tech, coming back to beat Cal, coming back to beat Louisville, coming back to beat Duke. Jay Williamson is right, man. If you want to just fast forward to the end of the season, that's exactly it. But we got to talk about something. but Jay Williamson, that's it, dude. It's like playoff talk doesn't even. Coach Saban be so mad about playoff talk. Be like, I don't even know, because there's no point. We all get that. There's no point in talking about the playoffs because you lose against LSU, you're out. So. All right, here's a look at we'll talk Alabama LSU in just a second. Here's a look at the SEC standings going into this weekend. Got Georgia up at the top, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, Bama. Honestly, all those teams should be in the playoffs. Maybe not all of them. But what gets me caught up is like, where would Miami be in the SEC? Where would BYU be in the SEC? TC is saying BYU would beat Miami. A lot of people aren't talking about Ole Miss. Who would win this game? Who would win, Miami or Ole Miss? Seriously. That's a good one. Let's start this. Who wins? I think I could start a poll right here. Let me end this poll. Let me start this other one. Start a poll. Let's see. Is that a Miami fan here? Miami or Ole Miss? Miami, Ole Miss. Let's just start this one real quick. This will be interesting. I think Ole Miss. Ole Miss by 20. So far, it looks to be all Ole Miss. See, that's what I'm saying. And then you look to the rankings or the standings over here to this other side of the screen. 86%? Is that because we're just SEC heavy? Damn. So Miami just that's what I'm saying. And I think if I was to put this for Ole Miss versus BYU, it would be the same thing. Jarvis in with an update. Alabama started out as a 2.5-point underdog to LSU. Then it went to 2.5 for Alabama as a favorite, and now it's up to 3. So line moving, a little bit of action. Josh Johnson is saying Miami's overrated. 100%. It's just that quarterback. He's so dangerous. They're able to manufacture points. They're the best. They're really good at grass basketball. That's what they're good at. They were trailing Duke, though. Nobody will talk about that. Max Tooney saying Ole Miss would be the first team Miami has played with a decent defense. JTO, what's up, man? Carson is trash, but until you lose again, can't say anything. All schedules are not created equal. Jarvis, you're right, man. Here's one more look at the SEC football at a glance. Georgia has Ole Miss coming up in Tennessee. I would imagine they finish out 7-1 in conference play. Texas A&M has Auburn and Texas. If they win those games, clearly they'd be 7-1. I mean, that Texas and Texas A&M game, I think if I polled everybody would be voting for Texas right now, especially coming off the A&M loss, and then you saw the A&M lost their running back as well. How does Texas have so many games left? Oh, I guess these other teams don't play conference games. Texas has Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. LSU still has 4 conference games as well, and Bama has 3. The game that's not listed is Mercer, right? You know, I think that what I've seen, and maybe spread the word on this, I feel like a lot of fans that follow Alabama football might be a little have some misinformation that like the season's over. Thank you, Jarvis. It's not over. It is not over. I don't think people were ready for this type of a football season. I don't think they're ready for the parity. And most importantly, I don't think Alabama fans have really been punched in the mouth twice, right? Before we even entered November. It's fine. The season is not over. So like go tell your friends and your family that the season isn't over and there's still a lot to play for. This is the perfect opportunity to go over to LSU, lay the lumber on the Tigers. I mean, look, a win against LSU is great for the team standings, for the morale of the team, for recruiting, but it's also kind of nice when you beat Brian Kelly, right? Like that makes it a little bit better. Yesterday, listening to Coach Kelly talk at the podium, he said that Alabama is the most balanced team that they play. Okay, that's fine. But he said that Alabama doesn't have any weaknesses. Come on. They have weaknesses. Are you kidding me? Poor Coach Kalen DeBoer yesterday was asked about Elijah Pritchett at the right tackle position. He was like, how confident are you in Pritchett? Yo, look, Pritchett is trying. So is Welcome Formby, but that is an issue. The right side of Alabama's offensive line is clearly a vulnerable spot. They also have an issue in the secondary. We all know that. I would love for Coach Kalen DeBoer or Brian Kelly, for one of them to just say what they really felt. What if Coach Kalen DeBoer was like, all right, listen, no more offensive and defensive coordinator press conferences, period. Those guys need to be those guys need more work. Those guys need an extra 30 minutes of work every single week to continue to prepare. No more, messing around. These guys are getting to work, and I'm the only guy doing press conferences. They got a job to do. What if Brian Kelly was like, yeah, we know their vulnerabilities. We're going to attack Xavier Brown. We're going to attack Red Morgan. We're going to attack Bray Hubbard. We're going to attack them. That's what they're telling them. I would love for them just to say what they really felt. Be like, yeah, we're absolutely going to take advantage of Alabama's right side of the offensive line. You just never hear it, though. I know I was excited to get these press conferences as well from like the assistant coaches, but now like not so much. I don't know. But I think they should have to do them after the game. Not before the week. I think they should do it after the game because the poor players, like if the players lose a game, they have to come out and face the media, which is great. But you should be able to talk to the coaches after a game. You imagine? Yo, Coach Nick Sheridan, why'd you call? Why, you know? And I do think, yeah, sometimes they share a little bit much, but whatever. That's just my take. All right, so Alabama now favored by, Jarvis has it by 3. Line's moving a little bit. Alabama playing in a pivotal game. Everybody knows the back is against the wall. Everybody knows what's at stake against LSU. Is there anyone, what's your anxiety level for this game? Seriously, like how nervous are you for this game? I think it's look, I think this is the biggest game that Coach Kalen DeBoer has coached in this year. Probably in his career, other than the national championship game. Here's why. The entire foundation probably sits on the results of this game. I don't want to scare you, but this is a real possibility. You lose this game, bad things will happen after you lose this game. You will lose the locker room, okay? Not because so much you lost, but because the people in these players' corners will start to get in the minds of the players. I promise you. Yo, I told you Coach Kalen DeBoer couldn't win. Coach Kalen DeBoer is 0-3 in SEC play on the road. Look, you can go somewhere else. People will start infiltrating the kids' minds, and they'll start thinking that they're right, which is not the case. I mean, the guy just got here. He's still crushing it in recruiting. Like, you got to give him time. But people will start to infiltrate minds if they lose this game. You lose this game, if you lose the locker room, there's sharks. There's a shark down in Auburn that'll be gunning for you too, right? You lose that game as well, who knows what happens on the recruiting trail. So it's like this game is monumental, plus all the playoffs. The playoff implications as well. Alabama does have, right? So JTL, that's what people want to see. And if you lose a game like this, the fires start 100%. Just wait. If they lose this game, watch what will happen after. I'm serious. And it'll be a very challenging job for the coaches to continue to steer players back. KTK saying Hugh Freeze ain't no shark. Yo, but the guy, look, he puts together a good plan against Alabama. Last year, as good as Coach Saban was, he ran for 250 yards on Coach Saban. This guy's going to be, you're going to have to stop this guy. Josh Miller saying a shark more like a tadpole. Sean, what's up, man? They better not lose this game at all. Garrett Nussmeier, we all know, the quarterback for LSU. Here's a look at a snapshot of what he's done this season. Very talented quarterback who's going to throw the ball. I don't know. What are we setting the over-under at that he throws the football? 50 times? 40 times? Lynn Shannyfield saying, just so you fans know, Alabama over. Even when I played, we have owned LSU in Baton Rouge. For a while, it was like playing in Atlanta. Bama wins. I would say that Garrett Nussmeier throws the ball. So Jarvis and I was talking numbers. I'm going to say, yeah, I would say over 35. I mean, look, the lowest that he's thrown the ball, what is it, 34 times? Oh, yeah, he's throwing it way more than 35. I would say he throws it 40. Give me the over on that, Jarvis. Brian likes the interception numbers. Look, we haven't talked a lot about this. I have to look it up for tomorrow's show. Did you know that Alabama's their turnover margin on defense, they're number 4 in the country? We need to give props to the defense on that. They get interceptions, right? Forced fumbles. Number 4 in the country, man. That's a critical stat. Kaysen with the super chat. No jinxing, fingers crossed. Call me crazy. I'm confident we win this game. If USC can beat LSU in Death Valley, I think we can. Was that game in Death Valley? Was that game? That was a neutral site game, right? Christopher say, nah, Kyle, the defense sucks. That's probably what the rest of the world of college football thinks, right? But they do have momentum. They did get momentum from this depleted Missouri game. Well, I'll update this. Now it's up to 3. This is the rat poison indicator. Here's how the two teams ranked head-to-head. Let me ask you this. Yeah, they played in Vegas. That's what I thought. Ooh, 12 penalties over under? Oh, give me over for sure. For Alabama? Oh, I'm taking over 12 penalties. That's a good one. I'll take him at 14. Oh, that's a good one. The rain too, Lynn, because it should be raining in the fourth quarter of this game. That's why I think you go run the ball. And I think, look, let me ask you this. Does Alabama, I'm going to start another poll. I don't know how T's feeling on the game. I'll ask her. I think she knows she knows what the defensive secondary is. I'm going to start another poll. Will Alabama score over 30 points against LSU? Do you think Alabama scores over 31 points against LSU? I'm going to say, well, let me see what you guys say so far. Yes, that's the easy. Okay, 67% right out the gate, 75% saying yes. And I think what's the total points on this game? Jarvis, what is it? What do we have it at? Like 61, 57, something like that? Wow, 80% saying wow. I mean, they are averaging what? Like close to 40 points per game. So absolutely. 71%, 68%. Jay Bake has it 38-21 Bama. I think Alabama will be able to move the football against these guys. I really do. Whether they're running, whether they go to the air, I get it. The weather's probably something that's going to impact the game, but, I mean, it's part of it. These guys can throw in the rain. But I think you run the ball. And plus, LSU, they're starting guard, Harold Perkins out. So they have 2 significant injuries as well. 33 points in SEC play. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that stat, man. Good work. I don't know. I mean, this team gets a lot of penalties. That's why I'm saying someone inside the comment box said 12 penalties. I'm going over. You get to that 12 to 16 penalty range, that's when it makes that's the turning point of these type of games. Plus, the special teams. How's everybody feeling about Graham Nicholson? Does it make you a little nervous? He makes me a little nervous still. I don't know how that. I know Will Reichert. He had a tough Sunday. But Graham Nicholson kind of makes me a little bit nervous still. I need to see him hit some kicks on the road. Max Tooney's feeling better about Nicholson. I got you. Brian Stacks says, I mean, we're also coming out of a bye week. That's the other thing, too. You look at how Alabama came out of the last bye week. Man, they came out of that bye week looking like the best team in college football, right? I remember saying this during the watch along when they were beating the brakes off of Georgia. I was like, this is the best football. Like, this is the best offense I think I've seen. Man, that was crazy. I still can't believe that happened. That was like absolutely crazy. But while Kalen DeBoer was asked yesterday about starting fast and the importance of it, you also have to finish. I don't really like the way that the team has played, in the later part, second half of some of these games. Man, Riker had a tough day at the ballpark against for the Vikings against the Colts. And I think he was 100% up to that point in time. Still doing a really good job with the Vikings. All right, so today, what to expect later is probably get a player interview, coach interview that I upload, news as it happens, and then the college football playoffs. Let me just double check, see what time this is. I think it's at 6 tonight. I'm looking on the website on the other side. Let's see. The rankings. I think it's at 6 tonight on ESPN. Yeah, it's at 6. So I'll be back this afternoon or at 6. When it get that 6, man, when it starts to get dark, I'm like, I'm ready for bed. But I like the time change. At least in the morning part. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for rocking with me today. Definitely go vote, right? There's a lot of people that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, so you have the opportunity to go vote. So go vote. I appreciate you so much for rocking with me today. Today is Tuesday, November 5th. I got you as news happens. And later today, I will be live again to talk about the college football playoff rankings. We'll do like a rankings reaction show. So thanks for rocking with me. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Case, for the super chat. Definitely put your name inside the comment box. I appreciate you supporting me. Everybody enjoy the basketball team and their big victory. We're getting closer and closer to a pivotal game in the SEC. I got a little anxiety. I feel confident, but I think it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. So a lot on the line in this one. Thank you so much for rocking with me today. Remember, these shows are also on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. As news happens, I got you covered here at Bama Football on YouTube. Be good people. And I appreciate you guys. As news happens back here, coming to you from Hollywood, Alabama. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you.